In this video, I'll discuss deconstructing menus. Now I've got a sample layout here, and it's got a drop-down menu. Now as I hover over these items, they highlight, and this isn't a drop-down menu, but these ones are. And they're great. Obviously, they're very, very useful for navigating websites. The problem becomes when a screen size, the viewport size, becomes too narrow, then these aren't practical. And this is actually as a responsive drop-down menu. So as I resize the screen, you'll see the size of the font shrink. There we go. And there comes a point where it just becomes impractical to actually use this for, say, a smartphone. Now, the solution to that is deconstructing menus. So as I shrink down at some point, there we go. What happens is that we lose the drop-down menu, and we've actually put this bar at the top of the screen that a user can press. And when the user presses it, you can see there's our drop-down menu. We even have our sub-menus there as well. So fairly useful. And it's a toggle, so I'll go ahead and turn it off. And you can see there you go. You can turn it on and turn it off. And then as I increase the screen size, we go back to our standard drop-down menu. So how do we do that? Well, I'll go ahead and show you the code. Now, I'll show you the actual menu first. So the menu is right here, and for this I've used an unordered list. This is quite popular for making drop-down menus, and it's great because you can do a lot with CSS to make it work. So in this particular example, I've used an unordered list, but you can certainly use div containers as well if you want to. And that is called menu. Now up here what I've got is a containing div called show me, and inside show me, so it opens here and closes here. And then inside there is our little icon, list-icon.jpg, which shows up when the screen shrinks down. What we want to do is be able to turn that off when the screen width is wide enough that we can show our regular drop-down menu. So I've given this an ID of menu btn, and then on click we run a function called show menu. So we're going to use a little bit of JavaScript. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the JavaScript. Now what I've done is added an event listener for a screen resize. Okay, so what I want to do is capture whenever the screen size has changed, just make sure that when we switch back to the regular drop-down menu, that it's not turned, because remember we're turning it on and we're turning it off, so we want to make sure we turn it on. If the screen size is greater than or equal to 800, then we just turn it on using display equals block, and then if it's less than 800, we turn it off by display equals none. And that just again is for screen resizing, which is most useful of course when you're actually working with a desktop browser like I showed you in the example web page. Now let's take a look at our function. So we have function show menu. Now what happens here is we're just checking to see if the document element, if the menu, okay, is turned on. And remember, this is what happens when we press that button. So if we press that button, check to see if it's turned on, and if it's turned on, turn it off, and if it's turned off, turn it on. So we use else and then just turn it back on. So that's the toggle. So that's how we do it using document.getElementById and accessing that menu item that we have in our HTML. Now in the CSS, what we're doing here is we're actually, let me go down. We've set up all our CSS for the list items for the drop-down menu, and that's fine. I'm not going to get into that. What I want to show you is how we deal with show me. So remember, we have that show me item, and the show me, what it does effectively is turn on that icon and then deconstruct the menu. So with show me, what we're doing is we're actually, when the maximum width is 800 pixels or less, okay, so again, this is for the smaller screens, then set the styles for show me, the width and height, and so on. Now, what I want to do here with the smaller screen is don't display that unordered list. Remember, we want to turn it off the first time, and then when the user clicks the button, we can turn it on and turn it off using the JavaScript that we have. So we're just turning off the unordered list by using display none here in the CSS. Now, when we have the screen size being bigger than 801 pixels, so on a larger screen, what we're doing here is just turning off Show Me. Remember, Show Me is that button that we see that appears on smaller screens. And then Menu BTN, we're turning that off as well. And remember, that button is down here. that icon. So we want to turn that on and turn it off. And all we're doing is we're using this menu. Remember, we've given it an ID of menu. And then with the JavaScript up here, turning it on and off using our script. Really effective way of setting up a drop-down menu and having it stack or deconstruct when the screen size becomes so small that a standard drop-down menu just isn't practical.